We've got a project we're going to start on our camper. We've got a '04 Sunnybrook fifth wheel, and we're going to do a little update. We're going to put these subway tiles on our backsplash here. Now these are the vinyl ones, peel and stick, and I think it'll add a little bit of color to it because these things are just built kind of blah. So what we're going to do, we've got to take all the outlets out, take this stuff, take the valance out, take the switch cover off for the pump, remove this, and we're gonna take and wash these walls down, and I'm gonna prime them with this Zinsser brand primer because I don't know what this stuff is. It's kind of slick, and I've had stuff not stick to it real good before. We put a few things up on the wall using those peel and stick hooks that you buy, and they'll stick real good on paint, but I've had them fall off of here. And also in our bedroom, the headboard that the factory puts in, it's on the wall, that's actually stuck on with double-sided tape, and we've had that fall off before, and I put liquid nails on it, propped it into place, and a month or two later that come off. The liquid nail stuck to the headboard but not to the wall, so I ended up using like a whole tube to get it to stick. So I don't really want to go through all the work of putting this on and then having it come off down the road. So once I put a coat of primer on there, I think that'll stick real good. We'll wash these walls down, let them dry, put the primer on, let that sit for a couple days anyway, and then see how this works out. Okay, I've let this primer dry for 2 days, so the next step is figuring out how I'm going to start the pattern on this brick subway tile here. So what I've been seeing on videos, people just been taking and just cutting these end strips off and just butting it right to the corner. So I wanted to see how that was going to come out by the time I'd get to the other end. So I'm going to leave these gaskets here and this down at the bottom. So if I go all the way over, measure both of these across, it's almost exactly 92 inches. So I laid my tape measure down, and I'd start at one end right there. Get my light over here. I come over here, and 92 inches is just off a little bit from lining up perfectly even. It's not bad. So it's about 92 3/4. So it's pretty close to being even, but I'm going to make it a little bit better. All I'm going to do is just shift this tape measure over. Half of 3/4 is 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to move it over 3/8 of an inch there. And when I make my first cut, I'll just take 3/8 of an inch off of here, cut that up. That'll make it almost dead even, side to side. Now the next thing I run into, I noticed, this gasket here, and even these countertops, they don't run perfectly straight. There's some waves to them. So I don't want to start the tile right on the bottom and follow that, because by the time I get down the other end, it's going to be off, and then it's going to be hard to get the next one up. So I measured down from the cabinet, and I made a straight line all the way across. I continued that over on both sides. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure from here down and cut these tiles. I'll cut the bottom off so it'll follow that line right there, and I'll probably leave maybe a 1/16 of an inch gap before it hits the bottom, and that way if there's any variance in here, it'll give me some room, and I want to be able to line it up straight with this mark. So I'm going to get started cutting. Here's the tile we went with. It's Stick Goo brand, and it looked to be pretty good. My wife found it, I think, on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, but it had good reviews on it. It wasn't too expensive, so it's supposed to have a premium quality adhesive on the back, so hopefully you won't have any trouble with it coming off down the road. So I'm going to get started cutting, and we'll see how it starts out. Okay, it looks like it's going to be a challenge to get this underneath the window here and have it come out right so it comes out nice and straight. So what I did, I cut my piece over here and it's just sitting up in there. And then I put a pencil mark underneath where the bottom of this tile goes, connected it to here, and I drew a straight line, put a straight edge on there. Now from there, I just measured down. It's a little hard to explain here. I measured down from this line, so that would be from here to here, and then it's back behind the sink from here to here, which would be from this point to here. I'll cut that off. That'll give me the correct height. Then I just have to trim the rest, so I'll have to do that with each piece, but that gives me a straight reference line, so hopefully that'll work. Yeah, I've got about 3/4 of it done right now. Got the back wall, this side wall. And here's a tip for you. What I run into trying to get this, you can't get a real tight edge up in there. It's tough to do. So I got my wife's red nail polish, and I painted before I put these up there, and I painted across the top, and it blends in pretty good. You don't see any little edge up there. What I've been cutting this with, I'm just using a utility knife, carpenter square, and a block of wood to set it on. So that's all I've been doing. It's slow going, but been on it all day and almost done. Got this wall over here to finish up, a couple more panels, and that'll do it. Okay, I've got all the backsplash tile done. Real happy with it. Come out good. I like the way it looks. My wife's really happy with it. Now, a couple things I learned doing this project. I've never done this before, but you kind of figure this stuff out as you go. I got a couple extra tiles here, and you lay them down on a flat surface, they go right into place. They match up really nice. But when you're putting them on the wall and you got the adhesive that's exposed on the back, you want to make sure you try and get those edges lined up perfect before you stick this down. And it's a little bit tough to do because that glue on the back wants to grab pretty quick. And what happens, you might, if you get it into place and you're happy with it, you run your hand over it and then you'll find maybe one of the pieces, it actually, you were off a little bit and it might overlap, and it'll usually do it, you know, here, a couple different spots where one will lap over. Not enough you really see it, but you can feel it, and you'll probably end up with a little air gap underneath it where you have a little bit of an overlap, and it can only be just, you know, a 64th of an inch, just not really noticeable, but you'll have an air gap underneath, and I think that's when you can have an issue with these peeling up. So what I did, I took my heat gun, and you could probably use a hair dryer too, just a little bit slower, and I've got these panels. I'd work on a section at a time, and I'd warm them up, get them pretty warm to the touch, be careful, don't overheat them. And I got a wallpaper roller, and I put some masking tape over the wheel because I wanted to soften it up a little bit so it doesn't have the hard edges. And I went around and I rolled everything nice and tight while it was warm. Went around all the seams, pushed them in, and if you did have a little bit that was, you know, maybe just a little bit of an overlap, you get that warm, it'll be pliable, and you could force that down in there, keep some little tension on it for a little while, and it should mold to fit. So that come out real good. Another thing was also around the windows and electric outlets. When you tighten this stuff up, you can see it kind of puckering around the edges. So I'd roll that down there, the same thing. Get 100% contact all the way around so these tiles are pushed nice and tight. And yeah, like I said, it come out real good. Make sure you buy a little extra. These tiles, they come in, well, this brand here I think come with 10 pieces. So I did the math on how many tiles, how many square foot, but what I didn't take into consideration, you get up so far, and if you need 2 tiles to finish around, you're wasting half that tile because you're cutting it off. So make sure you had plenty. I actually had 2 tiles left over. It worked out okay. And another thing I mentioned, I took my wife's red nail polish, and I had a little sliver up here because all these walls are going to be a little different height from the cabinet, and you can't really put a piece into there, so I'd end up painting with the nail polish. And if I would have thought ahead of time, I would have had just some latex paint, house paint made up in little bottles for touch-up, and painted all the way around the whole perimeter, about a 1/2 inch strip. That way, if you're off a little bit, it's covered ahead of time. So a couple places I just used the nail polish and it come out good. So those are some of my tips. I don't know if they'll help you or not. It can't hurt, but like I said, we're happy with it. It come out real good. Oh, total cost on this stuff, I think we bought 4 packages and they were $55 a piece, so about $220, which isn't bad. It gives the camper back here a better look. Oh, another thing, I don't have the valance up yet, and I didn't go up above the window because it is covered by the valance, but we're going to recover these before they go up. So that's the next thing on our list. So I hope you liked this video. Maybe it gave you some tips, and thanks for watching.